That's right, Xavier. It's not about the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. We got Baker Mayfield at quarterback tonight. He's going to bring whoever is out there at wide receiver. He's going to get them the ball. He's going to really provide them with some opportunities to score. Whoever is in the backfield, it's all about that team motivation. We got two NFC powerhouses. This is going to be a heavyweight slugfest happening in Detroit tonight, and I think it's going to be a close one. And Bob, we're enjoying all the retro logos you're showing off there. You talked about the Super Bowl. Let's talk about one of the old Bucs Super Bowl. In fact, you even brought us one of these props right here. It's this old Wheaties box from all the champions that we had on the team. You might recognize some names. We got Mike Allstott, Brad Johnson, John Lynch, some really cool things. They even got, the record on here. And this is brought to us by Bob, so a little bit of a blast to the past with the Wheaties and the Super Bowl champions. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I'll tell you, that was a lot of fun picking that box up, and I just found it recently going through some old stuff. It still has the cereal in it, and it's got to in order to resell it. I checked on eBay. It's worth $22. That's it.
Davis, we talked about this in the countdown to kickoff, but what exactly happened out there that didn't allow Tampa Bay to have the success that, of course, they wanted to have tonight?
Yeah, we talked about what we wanted to see, a high-octane offense out of Baker Mayfield, and apparently it didn't start. It sputtered, The first three drives for the Buccaneers are 3 and outs, and when you're in a very aggressive environment like Detroit where all they got there is football, it's not like Miami where they're out partying every weekend. People in Detroit are there to watch football games, and you start with 3 straight 3 and outs. It's no surprise that you find yourself in a hole like that.
Field goal. I thought that might be the shot in the arm they needed to really get things going in that second half, but unfortunately, it didn't seem to go that way.
Yeah, John, like you mentioned, a lot of momentum. You enter halftime with that long field goal kick. You come out of halftime, you have another real big shot at a Tez Johnson touchdown. It looked like the Buccaneers were right back in this one, but these are games of inches, and the Buccaneers, they had to end up going for it on 4th down quite a few times, and as we saw during those replays, some close calls from the referees, they came down to the very, very inch whether the Bucs got a first down or a turnover on downs, and like we said, after you sputter a little bit in the first half, those plays all just quickly slowly start to add up, and unfortunately they come out with a Detroit Lions W. So not what you want to see if you're here as a Bucs fan, but it's no surprise of the outcome of this game after what we saw happening throughout.
And it just it really proved to be a pivotal loss in this one.
And when you're playing bruised up like that, it's no surprise when they come out with, these injuries that knock them out of the game early. But what's so unfortunate about it is Mike Evans, as we mentioned, is so much consistently such a potent part of the offense late in the game. Even if he's not contributing with big catches or touchdowns, he can be a decoy. He can take up an extra 1 defender or 2 defenders for Detroit, but having him completely removed from the game allows Detroit to get a little more comfortable, focus a little bit more on Tez Johnson, on Emeka Egbuka, and we saw that strategy from Dan Campbell really come into play in the 4th quarter, and they just couldn't add it up. Not tonight, Xavier. Yeah, and the other big things he's talking about in that press conference is just a lack of execution here tonight. We've talked about how hungry Detroit was all night long and how some of those critical calls, the referees might be a big topic of discussion when you're watching your morning news or your recaps tomorrow and whatnot. This game may not have been all due to the fact that Mike Evans went down. It may not have been all due to the fact that the Bucs didn't put up that many points, but just some close calls there tonight. And whenever you're coming up on 3rd and short, 4th and short, and you're not converting, and you're inside your own territory, and you give the Lions short field like that, and they convert, again, there's no surprises here. These are 2 teams that are sitting at the top of the NFC, and they're now sitting at, as both teams they're 5-2 now. So they're sitting, luckily, almost atop their division. The Packers still just barely above Detroit, as they are 4-1-1 with their big tie earlier this season. But these are 2 competitive teams, and when there's a lack of execution like that, the team that causes more turnovers and the team that converts with the short field is going to end up winning. I know we mentioned earlier, Baker Mayfield, no interceptions, no turnovers coming in tonight, and unfortunately, he gets an interception that goes the other team's way, and a couple of fumbles. The Bucs were just giving it to the Lions tonight. What does that do for the momentum in the locker room? I mean, some of the guys were questionable coming into the game tonight, and then all of a sudden you find your offense sputtering with 3 3-and-outs to start the game, and then your all-star wide receiver goes down. Do you feel like that affected some of the momentum tonight?
Yeah, I believe it's kind of hard when a guy gets hurt in game because you have him part of the game plan to whereas in when he's not going to play, you're able to game plan around him. So a lot of times when a guy gets hurt in game, it kind of messes up the game plan that you have in place. And especially a guy like Mike Evans. You know they have a lot of plays put in to try to get him in one-on-one situations, and when that guy is gone, it kind of, ruins everything you worked on all week. I'd like to see him run the ball a little more, 50 pass attempts.
I was just thinking that. I didn't see a Rashad White handoff almost the entire second half.
So I believe they got a lot pass heavy, a lot, you put it on Baker's shoulders, but you have to slow that pass rush down by running the ball. And Aiden Hutchinson seemed like he was just pent back.
Hungry.
Yeah, so
he wanted it tonight.
And when 50 passes, man, I don't know if that's a good recipe to win ball games.
And there are some silver linings there. He mentioned we would have loved to be 6-1. If we win tonight, that puts them at the top of football. Nobody in the NFL has 6 wins right now, so you really got to understand that they're playing with unmarked territory so far this season. So give them a little forgiveness, a little leeway with the loss tonight. Even Baker's saying, with some of these young guys, he may have overthrown a couple of balls, but that consistency and those clutch plays, they're going to hold themselves to that standard, and they're going to come down with some of those catches and some of those bigger plays as we get later into the season. So it's nice to see that they're holding themselves to that standard right now, even though tonight didn't go the way they wanted.
That is a beautiful Vince Lombardi trophy.
They got a couple of those replicas all throughout their facilities. Whenever I went up to talk to Mr. Brian Ford there for the charity story that we played in the pregame show, they had a couple Lombardis posted up there. So I think that once you win it, you might get a couple extra spares for decoration and things like that.
One of Tom Brady's best passes ever, that pass at the Lombardi trophy.
On the boat.
12 games or 11 games, he'll probably have a real good chance to get it.
And you're a legend in the Georgia-Florida game, obviously. And the state of Florida has some great college football going on so far this year. The University of Miami claiming themselves as Florida State champs after taking down, Florida, USF. And I want to talk about that a little bit. Miami and Florida kind of with a rough weekend in college football, but USF, South Florida, right here in Tampa, they've been the talk of the town when you're talking about Florida teams. Smooth sailing for them so far and a whole lot of momentum behind them. What's been kind of your gauge? Who's hot, who's not in our Florida team so far this year?
Yeah, I think you said it. Miami was, looking like the elite, the best until they got knocked off last week. But USF has been doing really good. I got to see it firsthand when they beat up on my Florida Gators in the swamp, which was a huge shock to all of us. But Alex Golesh is doing some really good things there, and they have a lot of momentum and a lot of positivity looking into the future, building a new stadium. The future for USF football is very bright.
Are you going to be at the world's largest outdoor cocktail party this year?
Yeah, they have a big ceremony for us and lunch with the mayor on Friday where they'll present us with a jacket and some other stuff, two Georgia Bulldogs and 2 Florida Gators. So I'm really looking forward to it. My family's going to come up and join us, obviously. And then on Saturday, before the game, we'll be honorary captains, and I believe be out there for halftime as well. So it should be a fun weekend and a fun event. That Florida-Georgia game is always a super cool experience to see that stadium split red and black and orange and blue, and hopefully the game lives up to the billing.
That many wanted it to go, guys. I just have to say this has been a blast this evening.
We talked about it earlier, whether you're watching the game with your friends out at the bar, whether you're at the game physically, or whether you're here with us, it's just such a pleasure. It's so fun getting to watch the game with all your friends, and we have so very much enjoyed having you guys all joining us here tonight.
And a special thanks to our guests that came in to be a part of this coverage, too. Just an amazing job. What an honor it is to meet them, to have them come into studio and talk Bucks with us, and just a great time all around.
Staying late, too. Shout out to these guys, and thank you guys for staying up with us this whole time.
And a special thank you to our ABC7 team here, all the behind-the-scenes people that you guys don't see. They put in a lot of work to help us put this entire thing together. Our special projects manager, our operations managers, our directors, our technical media producers, our news director, everyone that had a backing behind this. We just can't say thank you enough.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully we get to do some more cool stuff like this with you guys in the near future.
Definitely looking forward to it. Well, for John Cerio, for Davis Suppes, I'm Xavier Mcknight. This has been After the Game. Have a great night.